Good evening, colleagues. It's 7:15. It'd be nice if we could get this meeting over before the equinox, which is at 7:19, although that might be a little ambitious. But it's for the sun moves from the north to the south, so I learnt this morning. My education is improved every day. We have no fire drill or anything like that, so in the event of it going off, we will leave by the fire exits and assemble outside. So, without more ado, we have apologies from absence from Councillor Dervish. I don't believe there are any other apologies. No, fine. Declarations of interest. Are there any members with any declarations of interest that they wish to declare? No, excellent. Item 3, minutes of the previous meeting. These were the meeting held on the 28th of July. They have been circulated. Are you happy that I sign them as a true record? Agreed? Thank you. Item 4, public question time. To the best of my knowledge, there are no public questions. So we go on to item 5, insurance award of contract extensions. Now you will see, members, that this has a confidential appendix, part 2. I intend to do as we normally do with that, unless there is any particular point which a member wishes to raise in the confidential appendix, then I will take the whole issue in the public agenda. Is there anyone who will be wanting to refer to anything in the confidential part? No. Okay, well then we will take that in. So this is item 5, insurance award of contract extensions, and Councillor Bowers will take this issue. Kevin.
Thank you, Chairman. As I'm sure you will be aware, the Council has a range of insurance policies in place to protect our assets and operations. These include property damage, computers, contractors, combined liability, motor, fidelity guarantee, engineering and personal accident and travel insurances. Our insurance year runs from the 1st of October to the 30th of September, and the last full tender for all our insurances was conducted in 2020, with a further tender in 2021 for combined liability, motor and fidelity guarantee. However, due to various challenges, including delays in the procurement process and the appointment of a broker, we have found ourselves in a position where we cannot complete a full tender process in time for the upcoming insurance year. Given these circumstances, we are proposing to extend the existing insurance contracts for a period of 12 months, starting from the 1st of October 2025. This extension will provide us with the necessary time to prepare for a full tender and award of contracts from the 1st of October 2026, ensuring that we can secure the best possible terms for the Council. It is important to note that while some insurance contracts are optional, several are mandatory by law, including motor and employers' liability insurances. Therefore, it is essential that we maintain our existing cover arrangements to ensure compliance and protect our interests. In conclusion, this decision to extend the current insurance contracts is a prudent and necessary step to ensure continuity and stability in our insurance coverage. We will use the extension period to thoroughly prepare for the next tender process and secure the best possible outcomes for the Council. Therefore, I move in the recommendations as set out in section 2 of the report on page 6 of tonight's agenda and seek Cabinet's agreement. Thank you, Chairman.
No? Do I take it then you approve the recommendation? Agreed? Thank you. That takes us on to item 6, grant of a lease, Unit 1, Victoria Square, Manor Street. Again, this paper has a confidential appendix. Is there any member who wishes to refer to any item in the confidential appendix at this meeting this evening? No, in which case we will take it all in the public session. Councillor Bowers again, please.
Thank you, Leader. This report is seeking Cabinet approval for granting a new lease for Unit 1, Saunders House, Manor Street, Braintree. This decision is pivotal for our community and aligns with our strategic objectives to foster a sustainable environment and prosperous district. The primary purpose of this proposal is to let this investment property to a commercial restaurant unit to Mercucino Limited. This company, with a solid reputation and a promising business model, is ready to take on the lease under market rental terms. We will then instruct our legal team to progress the conveyance through to completion as detailed in the confidential Appendix 1. Victoria Square, as I'm sure members will be aware, is a mixed-use town centre site developed and owned by the council, including shared ownership dwellings, a public car park, a health centre, a hotel and retail units. Unit 1, located on the ground floor of Saunders House, has been marketed extensively for several years. Despite the challenges, one of our appointed agents has secured the recommended offer. The unit, designed to accommodate a restaurant, is currently a shell and core only with no fixtures or fittings. However, a meter power supply is in the process of being installed. The tenant will be responsible for a fair proportion of the service charge incurred by the landlord in maintaining the common areas of the estate. Granting this lease will help us achieve key corporate objectives: a sustainable environment and great place to live, work and play. The presence of a restaurant will increase footfall and provide an eating establishment for nearby residents, users of the library and the town hall. A prosperous district that attracts business growth and provides high quality employment opportunities. This lease will not only generate revenue but also support local employment and business growth. The financial benefits of this lease are significant. It will provide a steady stream of revenue and mitigate non-recoverable landlord holding costs. Revenues such as this are crucial for supporting our service provision and ensuring the financial health of the council. In conclusion, granting this lease to Mochaccino Limited is a strategic decision that aligns with our long-term goals and benefits the community. I urge you to approve this proposal and support our efforts to create a vibrant, sustainable and prosperous district. Therefore, I move in the recommendation as set out in section 2 of the report on page 10 of tonight's agenda and seek Cabinet's agreement. Thank you, Councillor Butland.
Thank you, Councillor Bowers. Is that seconded? Seconded, Councillor Cunningham. Does anyone wish to add anything? Yes, Councillor Cunningham and then Councillor Ritchie.
Chairman, thank you, and thank you to Councillor Bowers for bringing the report. I think there's a sort of little bit of a sense of finally a bit of job done, really, with Victoria Square and the whole former bus park development that's been with the authority for a few years. I think predates a number of us, but particularly in the last 5 years when we decided to take it on ourselves and build that mixed-use scheme where there's a little bit of criticism, I think, when we took it on, and we actually decided we were going to carry on full steam ahead during a pandemic, which put its own unique pressures on the process. But that was always the square on the board that needed filling, that unit that hoped for some sort of coffee shop or restaurant there to add to what has actually become a very, very picturesque and very endearing part of the development, particularly as we were able to turn what used to be our town hall car park into some lovely public realm there, which I know many of the recently married of the Braintree area have enjoyed for their wedding photos and for other things as well. So really good news story, but also great to see all elements of Victoria Square coming to fruition, and particularly as more and more people are using the health services there as well. And that's one thing. We built a very, very good shell, and it's great to see the health facilities being commissioned and operating out of there. So good news all round. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cunningham. Councillor Ritchie.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, if only we could get Messa's boot to come and have a look at what we finally achieved here in Braintree Council. I think he himself would even see what a missed opportunity he had at one time in trying to get us to deliver something here in Braintree. Just to add to Councillor Cunningham's point, it really is a rendezvous point now. It's a real standout and a feature within the town centre, one of which we should all be really proud of. So, as Councillor Cunningham said, to finally get the last unit let, and to give those who might be staying at the hotel an alternative place to go and enjoy some culinary delights as well, I think it's a really good statement for this council, and I'm fully behind it. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much. Any other comments at all? I'd just like to say it has been a long time for understandable reasons. A couple of false starts with the private sector on one occasion, but really I'd just like to record my thanks to everyone, particularly also the staff here, who have been with this throughout to achieve what I think is a significant improvement in the town centre in Braintree for what was really a bit of unfinished business, that area with the what we used to call it a bus station, but it was basically somewhere where buses pulled up. So really very good, and really very pleased with it. So are you happy, colleagues, to accept the recommendation as moved by Councillor Bowers? Agreed. Thank you. Right, we move on to item 6, Greater Essex Local Government Reorganisation Final Submission. I don't intend this to be very long. Members will be aware that we had a debate at full council last Monday. I think it was a debate of high quality, and I think that has been recognised by a number of authorities that have watched it as well. I mean, 26 members took part in the debate, and I think every contribution had something in it which was pertinent to the discussion. As members here at Cabinet will know, I said I would take the views of full council before using the delegated powers to do it, and also I would come here to Cabinet really for approval. So my ask this evening is that you give me the authority now to commit Braintree District Council to the signing together with the those other authorities that are supporting the recommendation for 3 unitary authorities as part of the 4 business cases that are going forward to government. And therefore I so move. Would that seconded? Seconded, thank you. Are there any other, anybody want to make any comments or questions? Councillor Edwards.
Thank you very much, Chair. With your permission, I missed the full council last week, so I just wanted to add on the record a couple of my own reflections on the submissions that have been put forward. I was very pleased to see, listen back to the debate, again, the high quality of the debate, and the endorsement of the 3 unitary authority proposal. I think it's the right way forward for this district and this county. I think particularly in terms of the financial case, there is a very strong financial case for 3 residents, from my experience of talking to many of them by knocking on doors, do not care about council structures. They care about high quality, affordable services. The only way to do this would be with a 3 unitary authority option, in my view. Just to respond to a couple of the points that were put forward in that debate last week, so there was some suggestion that because ECC is a larger council, that Essex County councillors are more remote from their residents. This has not been my experience at all. In fact, the oft-touted, more councillors in the district, meaning more representation. Again, that's not something the residents say to me, that they feel more represented because they have more councillors. I think it's a good thing that by moving to 3 authorities, we will have fewer councillors that will increase the quality of representation rather than just focusing on the quantity. And finally, I'd just like to comment on the size of the authorities themselves. I think concerns about residents having larger authorities not necessarily being able to identify with them and their place ignores the reality that boundaries, particularly in this part of the world, local government boundaries, have always been fairly arbitrary. Particularly in the north of district, we have villages that look to Sudbury and Haverhill for their needs, but yet are governed from Braintree. I don't see how moving that centre of government to Colchester will necessarily make any great change to the place or the identity in that part of the world. So just in conclusion, again, very pleased that the full council endorsed the 3 unitary option, which I believe to be the most financially stable route forward for this county and this district. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any Councillor Sproul and Councillor Pell.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I'd just like to echo your comment and that of colleagues about the debate last Monday, which was one of the best, if not the best, that I've attended in the years I've been a councillor here. It was a very good, very open debate. I can't speak for other groups, but certainly as far as this group is concerned, there was no suggestion of a whip being operated. Everybody was very clearly told you can speak, say whatever you want to say, whichever option you think you prefer, and certainly I think everybody did that. Everybody had different points for and against to make, and as far as I'm concerned, the result was good for the 3. That was my preference, and as it turned out, the preference of the majority. But it really was a good and very open debate, and actually a pleasure to take part in. Thanks, Chairman.
Thank you. I have Councillor Pell, then Councillor Bowers, and then Councillor Heath.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I came last week, I hadn't got a clue which way I was going to vote, and I found the debate useful to help me to make up my mind. I was either 3 or 5, but the debate made me go for 3. So it was very, very useful. But can you just point out now that when we take a vote, that us three, from the point of view of people watching at home, we don't have a vote?
You mean this evening? Yes, by all means, certainly. Yes, only the members of Cabinet can vote this evening. So there's no, it should not be interpreted by anyone watching that councillors who are not members of Cabinet are therefore in some way dissenting or abstaining. Councillor Bowers.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, I'd just like to echo some of the comments that have been made tonight, and also to thank you for the chance to give council their opportunity to debate and to give an indication by way of a preference vote in regards to the way they thought after reviewing the business cases once they all arrived. I think that helps us as a council. Helped us as a cabinet, but through the preference decisions, obviously there was an overwhelming thought from the council after review of the business cases for the 3 case, which I'm not going to go over all ground because we all the majority of us here spoke on the debate, but I just think it was a good chance for everyone to give their views, and it was a very good debate, and I think that should be welcomed. And Braintree once again done things the right way, and I think that's been shown across the county, and yeah, it was a very welcome debate. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Bowers. Councillor Heath.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, just to echo a bit of what Councillor Bowers just said, I think most of us that came last Monday had made our mind up, but the speeches were made with such passion and meaning, and everybody seemed to have a part of the reasoning. They gave proper reasons why they were saying what they were saying and what they wanted to do, which I thought was absolutely superb. As Councillor Spray said, the speeches given by members last week on all sides was absolutely excellent. But there was just one little thing that Councillor Edwards said that I would disagree with. I'm afraid round the Whittam way especially, they're not that keen on their county councillors, and they don't really recognise them, and they much prefer to have the district and the parishes.
Well, I let Councillor Edwards have his say because he was on leave last week. So, but I was hoping we're not going to start the discussion again. But yeah, I fully understood. Okay, if there are no other, oh sorry, Councillor Cunningham, Councillor Jeffries.
I don't want to start the debate again, and we know it's not finished just yet anyway. But there was just one comment that Councillor Edwards made. I hope very much that the quality of councillors with less will be better. However, bearing in mind what's already been said tonight and the quality of the debate that we had last week, you can't do much better than that. So let's hope that the quality stays, even if we haven't got the quantity.
And I think that will be a challenge to find people of quality coming forward for the new unitaries, given the demands that there will be. And I think the government may well need to reflect upon how it sees the role of local councillors. Councillor Cunningham.
Thank you very much. I mean, I won't add much more, just except to say I agree with everything that's been said about the meeting we had last Monday and the outcome. But just really trying to make the point now, as I think Councillor Jeffries said last week, this is just at the end of the beginning, the end of the beginning. And there is an enormous amount of work to do. Now that we've got over the sort of hullabaloo of is it 3, is it 4, is it 5, what do you think? Submissions have been in, government will make the decision. But I think my plea to everyone involved in this going forward at both member and officer level is we can't waste this opportunity of the last quarter of this calendar year in terms of understanding fully the extent of the work that needs to be done before 2028 and planning for it. And yes, we'll get the judgment from government, hopefully early in the first quarter, but we must absolutely use this time to mobilise properly. The sector owes it to residents who, as you say, perhaps aren't clamouring around for huge change, but want to see continuity and things enhanced at the soonest possible opportunity. We will obviously be making representations in terms of the consultations, individuals, maybe as a political group, but certainly as a council. I think there are some certain things when we come to that point as a council we can totally agree on in terms of strengthening representation. One point I would just like to acknowledge was the point Councillor Beavis made last week in terms of governance and elector numbers and appropriate representation and the disparity between the rural and the urban areas. Unfortunately, such is the nature of this accelerated timeline. My understanding is the government have said that we can't do a full boundary review. So, which is a problem, but I know colleagues who have been involved, and I think Councillor Beavis will remember she was actively involved in the last boundary review for this authority 10 years ago. It's an intense amount of political corporate work that's involved, so that's probably a blessing, but I think we'd want to make it very, very clear that if it is the county boundaries that were agreed in 2024 prior to the postponed 25 county elections, that a new sovereign authority moves ahead at the earliest possible opportunity to do a full governance review for its new authority based on its needs as it understands them at start-up and as they goes through its first few period in office and delivering service. I think that's very, very important to ensure that there's no perceived democratic deficit, and that the democratic arrangements best represent what are going to be quite large and diverse unitary areas, whether it's 3, 4 or 5. Thank you.
Thank you. Just, so did I see? Yeah, Councillor Beavis.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman, for that. And thank you, Councillor Cunningham, for your comments, of which I chime with. And, you know, having been a long-standing member of the authority, along with many others, you kind of know what's ahead. And at the moment, we don't know whether there are going to be elections in May, you know, which is no time at all. And I don't know what we can do about that in terms of being notified. It actually frightens me, the amount of work that's got to be done, and still the uncertainty of county elections, not county elections. And I think I was looking through the councillor calendar actually over the weekend, just looking at meetings ahead. And, you know, we're planning so far ahead, obviously. But as members, I just wonder whether we need to tentatively start looking at potential dates to get members together. You know, what does it mean to be a unitary councillor, for example? It's just stuff like that. It's preparation. And I know this will all be in hand, but it does worry me. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Just picking up on the point Councillor Cunningham made about making good use of the next quarter, I'll just ask Dan, Chief Executive, to update, because that work is already started, but I think it's useful that we know what's going on. Dan.
Yeah, thanks, Graham. So on the 29th of August, actually, Essex leaders and chief execs met and agreed required really chief execs to work up the beginnings of a transition plan for LGR, and there's been some discussion since then, and a meeting today actually in this room where all chief execs came together to discuss exactly that and agree a plan for how we're going to pull that together. So that will be presented back to the next meeting of leaders and chief execs later this month. And we've agreed some leadership roles and sponsorship so that we can make sure we're really clear about the work that's needed, and actually importantly the work that isn't needed, because over the next 6 months we need to make sure that the work is absolutely focused on what's essential for the transition planning, and therefore understand this council's role in supporting that.
I don't want you to prolong too much, and thank very much the Chief Executive for that. The comments I made certainly weren't a reflection of the role being played by the new leader or the senior officer team under Dan's leadership, because Braintree has been punching well above its weight in terms of the work that's been required in this, and will continue to do so. And as always, that's I think a credit to this place and this organisation. But it's important, and again, not a reflection on the county council, who are the largest partner in terms of size, but obviously will be working collaboratively as equal partners with the other districts and the unitaries. But I think it's important that same ethos, that same spirit of collaboration and collective approach perhaps if we haven't necessarily seen it so far, that we do see it right across the whole Essex sector in the months ahead, and knowing that Braintree is waving the flag and showing a very good example in that respect. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cunningham. Councillor Beavis?
Chairman, and just very briefly, and I think Dan hit on a case in point really, that there must have been a meeting that was here today, and I can think of nothing worse than an independent in another part of Essex saying to me, did you know my councillor at your council today? And I think this is what we're going to see, and I've always, today, I think all of us can say we've been so well briefed, but even if it's just, you know, a note that says there is going to be a meeting, so that we just kind of feel we know what's going on rather than being told by Canvey Island or, you know, because it will happen, and it's blooming annoying when it does. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Okay, well, under the Constitution, it's a matter which is devolved to me. I intend to formally sign up to the proposal for 3 unitary authorities. Are you happy? Well, so I intend to do it because I think it's the direction that full council has given me. But for the audit process, are you happy, members of Cabinet, to support me doing that? Agreed. Thank you very much. Right, let us move on then to item 8, the medium-term financial strategy. This is starts on page 19 of your agenda, and that is Councillor Bowers.
Yes, thank you, Leader. This is the regular medium-term financial strategy report which is brought to Cabinet around this time each year to provide details of the proposed budget strategy, process and timetable for the following financial year, that being 2026-27. This report also provides an update on the issues that will impact on the development of the budget and the MTFS. As well as the economic context, also contained within the report is details following the spending review announced by the Chancellor on the 11th of June this year. The 2025 spending review set out the medium-term path for public finances covering departmental expenditure limits for 26-27, 27-28 and 28-29. There's also 29-30 for capital budgets only. The spending review figures for 28-29 and beyond are deemed provisional only and will be subject to further review in 2027. There are also details regarding local government finance reform and especially providing the key elements of the government's fair funding review proposals within the report. As well as the confirmation of the 24-25 budget outturn as reported to Cabinet as part of the 4th quarter performance management report in July, the report before you tonight provides the in-year budget position for 25-26 and signposting some of the key items that will need to be considered as we start developing the 26-27 budget and looking at the lifetime of the MTFS. I don't intend to highlight any of this detail, though I urge members to familiarise themselves with some of the current and upcoming challenges we have ahead of the new budget process. As members will be aware, the Council has participated in an Essex business rate pool for many years, and which has meant a greater share of business rate growth income has been retained for investment back into the district. The proposed full reset of the business rate retention scheme as part of the wider reforms to local government finance means that the future of business rate pooling is unclear and probably unlikely given that all current gains from growth which are being retained in Essex will become subject to redistribution as part of the wider funding reform. The position is expected to become clearer as further details of the reforms are released and their impact assessed. However, in the meantime, it's proposed to retain a delegation to myself in consultation with the Section 151 officer to agree participation in a pool should there be an opportunity which is deemed beneficial to the Council. I would like to bring members' attention to the upcoming budget process timetable and especially highlight the Corporate Scrutiny Committee on the 19th of November when the initial proposals will be presented to the committee for the 26-27 budget, and all members will have the chance to attend an opportunity to comment and ask questions on those proposals. Although our original proposals will be ahead of the autumn budget on the 26th of November, the key information for us from government will be the provisional local government multi-year finance settlement due mid to late December and ahead of the second Corporate Scrutiny Committee meeting on the 28th of January, where final budget proposals and council tax recommendation will be presented. 16th of February 2026 is the key date when full council will debate and vote on the adoption of the 26-27 budget. I won't go into any further details. I'm sure members have reviewed the detail in tonight's report. They would like to thank Phil Miles, Section Phil Myers, Section 151 officer, for collating this detail to bring members fully up to speed on our current financial position, upcoming key challenges that will form part of the upcoming 26-27 budget process, alongside the budget timetable. So in conclusion, Leader, I'd just like to move the recommendations as set out in Section 2 on page 15 of tonight's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bowers. I second that. Open for comments or questions? Any? No? You're happy then to approve the recommendations? Agreed. Thank you. Takes us on to item 9, the annual governance statement, which starts at page 37 of your agenda tonight, members, and stands in my name, but I also want to thank the Phil Myers for the help and support in this. The purpose of this report is to seek approval of the annual governance statement prior to being signed by myself as leader and the chief executive, and then published alongside the annual statement of accounts. The statement was considered by the Governance and Audit Committee at its meeting held on the 9th of July, at which an updated local code of corporate governance was also presented and approved, and which is now published on our Council website. The annual governance statement and the process by which it is prepared provides for an annual review of the effectiveness of the Council's governance, risk management and internal control process, taking into consideration the 7 core principles of good governance as set out in the joint SITFA Solis guidance, delivering good governance in local government. The statement sets out significant work that's been undertaken during the year in relation to local audits and how the Council meets the Government's backstop arrangements for clearing outstanding audits. The statement identifies the significant governance issues for 2025-26, including devolution and local government reorganisation, continuation of the recovery phase of the local audit system, finance reforms, and delivery of actions of the current asset management plan. The statement, I am pleased to say, concludes that the Council's governance arrangements remain appropriate and effective. And we have 2 recommendations before us tonight: to approve the annual governance statement as set out in Appendix A, and to delegate to the Section 151 officer, in consultation with the Chief Executive, to approve any required changes to the annual governance statement following completion of the external auditor's review of the Council's statement of accounts for 2024-25, and I so move. Is that seconded? Seconded, thank you. Any comments or questions at all? No, are you happy to approve the recommendations then? Yes? Thank you. Takes us on to item 10, the climate strategy annual performance report, which is starts on page 55 of your agenda, and Councillor Cunningham will introduce this.
Thank you, Chairman. In introducing it, I'm great pleasure in handing straight over to Councillor Van Dalken as Deputy Cabinet Member of the Portfolio, but lead member on matters to do with the environment and climate change, who will speak to the rest of the report, and I'll formally move at the end, Chairman. Thank you very much indeed.
Councillor Van Dalken.
Thank you very much. This report is to update Cabinet on the climate change strategy and the climate change plan for the previous year, 2024-25, and for Cabinet to note the annual climate change action plan, year-end report, and the climate change annual communications update in appendices A and B. Cabinet will recall that that a climate emergency was declared in July 2019 with the aim of making council activities, as far as practical, carbon neutral by 2030. The climate change strategy and the first climate action plan were adopted in September 2021, and the report before you is the third plan, which includes 76 actions across 7 key climate strategy themes. During 2024-25, 25 of the actions were completed and a further 27 were on track for completion, with the bulk of the balance having been identified as business as usual. Some highlights from the many interesting and worthwhile projects are that over 14% of the council's electricity usage is from their own solar panels on council buildings. In addition, 89% of the council's managed lighting is now LED, while operations have procured at the end of last year, 14 electric vans. The council last year awarded £100,000 in community infrastructure grants to local organisations. This was, it will be recalled, from the Shared Prosperity Fund. It's also noteworthy that Essex County Council Forest Initiative has planted nearly 41,000 trees in the district to date, 70,000 of which last year, while BDC planted a further 700 last year. In conclusion, BDC has reduced its annual net emissions by over half since the baseline year of 2005-06, so 20 years ago, and by over 509 metric tonnes in the last 5 years. Further reductions will depend on fairly major decisions in terms of our waste vehicle fleet on the one hand and heating of buildings on the other, but we can be pleased with the work which has been done and continues to be done to minimise greenhouse gas emissions by the council, as well as the excellent communication on environment-related issues to our residents as reported in Appendix B. I'll pass back to Councillor Cunningham unless there are any questions.
Councillor Cunningham, are you formally moving the recommendations?
Chairman, thank you. Formally move the recommendations and thank not just Councillor Van Delken, but particularly the team under Josie Falco for all their continuing work on this and indeed the presentation that's gone into the preparation of the report tonight. Thank you.
I will formally second that and now open it. Any other comments or questions anyone has? Councillor Beavers and then Councillor Heath.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to highlight a couple of emails I've had in my inbox over the last month, and actually I have put a written question into Braintree which I'm waiting to get an answer on. And the first one was around the incinerator, and residents clearly are worried, and as a layperson I don't understand all the ins and outs of whether an incinerator is safe or not, and you know, I sincerely hope that clearly it is. But I just wondered, in terms of air quality, how is the district performing? I always remember sitting in this chamber at one particular planning meeting where we didn't allow development in Howster to go ahead because it was deemed that the air quality wasn't that good and it would add to it. And I'm just generally interested in, is there a mapping system at our authority that maps out where there is good or not so good air quality and what we're doing about that? And I don't know the answer. I'm just curious. So that was my first thing. And then I did have an email from a gentleman in the north of the Braintree district, just randomly emailed me and just said, how is the council performing on net zero? So I think people are interested in this agenda. And I guess finally, I know we spoke as a group probably about a year ago now and said, you know, are we doing everything we can to promote all the priorities of the council? And, you know, my golly gosh, I think we do an amazing job in our comms. I mean, even today there's been stuff going out that it's just worthy of sharing all the time about, you know, we're putting out our leaflet or, you know, this is going on. But when it gets to the green agenda, I'm just not sure whether we're shouting enough, because I don't know the answer to the question when the residents come to me. As far as I'm concerned, we do a lot. But if the message isn't getting through, do we need to amplify that more? Is just my observation. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Before I come to Councillor Heath, Councillor Cunningham, do you want to respond to that?
With maybe a bit of a double team effort with Councillor Van Delken, trying to see if we can pick up some of the points that Councillor Beavis has made, and I thank her for them. First of all, regarding Rivenall incinerator and issues to do with air quality and the wider the planning issues, as it's well known, BDC have had a long noted record for being in opposition to the Riverhull incinerator that goes back a number of years. And in terms of current issues regarding the build-out and enforcement, I think it's right in saying that our planning team works very closely with the team, the equivalent team at Essex County Council on those matters. So if there are any specific concerns, obviously we'd be happy to take them through planning, both here and raise them with our partners at Essex County Council. In terms of air quality, we do contribute to the to monitoring of air quality, and we do play a role in that. And with regard to the specifics that you raise, I'm very happy to take that away and perhaps get a little bit more information if I can for you, Councillor Beavis. In terms of net zero, I'll let Councillor Van Delken answer that. I think what I would say, just as an overarching final comment on the on this strategy, is when we put this together back in 2021, there was a focus on interventions that would be meaningful, add value, but also sympathetic to those for whom climate change is not their utmost concern. For those in our district, thousands of districts, particularly post-pandemic, for who their basic needs are a little bit more necessitous in terms of job, cost of living. And therefore, what I'm pleased is that we've actually been able to not just pivot to the net zero side, but also pivot towards the green economy and trying to support the opportunities that create jobs in the green economy, and therefore help improve prosperity as well, because we know prosperity leads to healthier lives, healthy existence as well. So I'm happy to go to, if you're happy, Chairman, I'll go to Councillor Van Delken.
Go to Councillor Van Delken, and then I've got Councillor Ricky and Councillor Bowers-Flint. Okay?
Thank you. In terms of net zero and the authority, we have relatively little influence. I should say we influence relatively little. The three main areas that we do have a contribution to greenhouse gas is the heating of buildings, and as I mentioned before, and our waste vehicle fleet. As I mentioned when I was giving the report, we're not. There are financial issues, serious expense in moving to, say, electrical waste vehicles, and in the same way, changing heating systems would be extremely expensive. So, a lot of the, how can I put it, the low-hanging fruit has been done, and we've got to a stage where decisions will have to be taken at some stage in the future. Does that make any sense? We really have done, I think, everything that can be done without huge financial cost.
Thank you, Councillor Richard.
Thank you, Leader. I think this report should be commended, and it shows our commitment to working with the climate emergency and doing everything within our efforts to become a more greener and sustainable district council. I think it was a bit of a buzzword around the climate emergency and the pathway to net zero. It was easy to say, but I'm a firm believer in that you are what you do rather than you are what you say. And I think this report encapsulates exactly what we have said we would do and how we are delivering on that. Noting that nationally the agenda on the whole path to net zero is now becoming a realisation that it was easy to say that a number of years ago, but the sheer cost of achieving what some industries and what some businesses stated 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, well, the the roosters are home to roost, the hens are going home to roost, because they've realised that actually that stated date of 2030 or 2035 probably isn't going to be 2030 or 2035. You're looking at 2040, 2050 and beyond, because of the sheer cost of trying to hit those targets. So I think the report that's in front of us this evening picks up exactly what we said we would do, how we have delivered that on a budget, but also the benefits of that has given, not just to us as a council, as an operating council, but also on the advice that we give and the outreach that we do to other partner businesses on helping them to understand how they can reach certain targets and certain goals on their own pathways to becoming net zero, acknowledging that actually it could be a longer journey than some had anticipated. So I thoroughly recommend this report in front of us this evening. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. I haven't forgotten Councillor Heath. Councillor Bowers-Flint.
Thank you, Leader. I may be able to assist a little bit because air quality comes under my portfolio. And we've got no air quality management areas or areas of significant concern in the district at the moment. And we have reviewed all of those air quality monitoring in the last 12 months. So it is pretty up to date. And also I have to point out that we are not the regulator for Rivenhall Incinerator. It's the Environment Agency that does that. But I also just want to echo the comments from previous speakers of what an excellent report, once again, from the officers of this council are in front of us. And we should be very proud that we have officers of that calibre producing reports of that calibre. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much. Councillor Heath.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Councillor Bowers-Flint has just taken part of what I was saying. This is a superb report. It is very informative and it is very easy to read. I can understand it, so it's obviously very easy to read. But as Councillor Beavis was saying, what are we doing enough and enough of the right stuff and getting this information out to the general public? Because do we put this report in hard copy in town halls, libraries and places like that? Because as much as I sit down and read it off of here, I know a lot of people don't. But on the report itself, on page 65, there was a couple of items that I just wanted to ask about, and that's the number of on-street EV chargers, whether, because that does seem to have just ground to a halt throughout the whole country, not just here. There are people that sort of have designated parking places on the street, but they need to run extension leads through their windows to charge their car when they've got a perfectly good lamppost sitting there. Can we not be converting more of them? And the disappointment one was the number of businesses that have supported the developed green travel plans or a proper travel plan being zero. But the report itself is fantastic and well done to everybody that's put it together. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Councillor Cunningham, do you want to come back on that? Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. I'll go to Councillor Spray, then I'll come to you, Councillor Cunningham, about the point raised by Councillor Heath about how we might increase the coverage, if I can put it, of the report. Councillor Spray.
Thank you, Leader. Just a little bit more information on the Rivenhall incinerator, as Councillor Beavis and Councillor Bowers-Flint mentioned it, because I sit on the liaison group for that and regularly attend the meetings. So the operators of the incinerator are responsible for monitoring the air quality and the emissions, and I know that provokes some cynicism, especially from residents who say, well, you know, they're monitoring themselves, but there are very strict rules about this and they do have to report to the Environment Agency. I'm also aware, and as recently as today, there were reports on social media from residents near the site of the visible plume of smoke, I'll call it that, coming from the site. That is being investigated both by the Environment Agency and also by Essex County Council Planning and Enforcement team. So everything is being kept a very, very close eye on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Cunningham, do you want to wind up this?
And thank you very much. No, I mean, some excellent points as usual, and some very helpful points. We'll certainly take away the points made by Councillor Beavis and And Councillor Heath, regarding communication and whether there is something more we can do to actually, even if it's in bite-sized blocks in terms of certainly achievements and some of the interventions we're making, we'll certainly take that away and perhaps refresh our communications plan for that. But yeah, that's very useful feedback and we'll certainly take that on board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There are 2 recommendations of the report. You're happy to accept them, colleagues? Agreed? Thank you. That takes us to item 11, the first quarter performance management report. This starts on page 109 of your agenda this evening. Councillor Bowers.
Thank you, Leader. It never sort of ends, does it? That it's only like a couple of weeks ago, or less than a couple of weeks ago, was at corporate scrutiny discussing the fourth quarter performance report at the end of the year, and then we've got the first quarter one already finished. But it's another great report in front of members tonight. As stated in the report before you tonight, the performance in the first quarter was broadly in line with expectations. We have 36 projects which were on track at the end of the first quarter. I'm pleased to confirm that 3 reports were completed in the first quarter. The Essex Local Nature Recovery Strategy was adopted. The 3G pitch was constructed at Whittam Sports Ground, and the Green Doctor Service secured funding to extend until March 2026. Members will be aware of the 2 projects which have an amber status, the Whittam and Housestead Town Centre improvements, where further approvals are required to complete works on non-Braintree District Council land, the development of a renewable energy supplementary planning document where resources are focused on delivering the local plan and there is uncertainty around the future renewable energy policies. The Green Skills Programme has reported challenges in sourcing learners and is under review as to whether the programme continues, and this is our only project with a red status. We have 9 performance indicators which have been met or exceeded target. They are the number of affordable homes delivered, major planning applications decided on time, minor planning applications decided on time, other planning applications decided on time, percentage of household waste sent for reuse, recycling and composting, recycling contamination rate, days taken to process housing benefit, council tax benefit new claims, percentage of stage 1 complaints dealt with in timescale, and collection rate for council tax. For those that have not met target, the 3 having missed target by less than 5% are percentage of fly tips cleared within 24 hours, where increased time to gather evidence prior to clearing caused a number of breaches, percentage of invoices paid on time which is considered to be due to changes in staffing in areas where there are high payment volumes, and business rates collection rate had a reduction against target. It is expected that this will be on target by the end of the year as minor variation year to year is expected. Those that have missed target by more than 5% are kilograms of residual waste per household, where despite an improvement against last year, a new lower target was not achieved. As part of the waste review, trials and engagement events and opportunities to drive behavioural change are underway to reduce residual waste. Percentage of disabled facilities grants approved within timescale, where applications affected by funding challenges last year are being approved during this reporting period. Percentage of inquiries resolved at first point of contact in the customer service centre, where there is a continued need to transfer complex calls through to specific departments where the customer needs a more detailed response. And the time taken to process housing benefit claim changes, where change to the local council tax support scheme has changed the profile of cases, resulting in fewer but more complex cases. Further details of the performance indicators are detailed in the main performance management report before you. In regards, moving on to the finance summary, the review of the financial performance and projection for the year at this first quarter shows an overall positive variance of 1.1 million. Treasury management income is projected to be overachieved by 944,000 due to both higher than anticipated cash balances and interest rates not being reduced as quickly as previously anticipated. Sustainable development is projecting a positive variance mainly due to staffing, but also from overachievement of income. The budget reset the baseline income target. However, this was before government had confirmed significant increases in household application fees. Asset management and environment are both projecting adverse positions, along with projected shortfalls in income, but there are additional staffing costs anticipated in the environment due to interim arrangements regarding building control. Strategic investment in people and performance show adverse positions, but both are less than 50,000 and therefore currently rated as amber. Following the confirmation of a pay award or of the pay award, a central position has been made for the estimated additional cost that will be incurred. Service budgets will be adjusted to reflect the award in the second quarter report. Finance will work the services to review the financial position to identify any ongoing risks and opportunities for budget planning for 26-27 and the updating of the MTFS. Capital expenditure at the end of the first quarter was 1.1 million, with the main areas of spend being on the new 3G artificial pitch in Whittam, planned maintenance on council-owned assets and town centre improvements. There is currently a projected underspend on the Causeway House refresh project as the scope of works is being scaled back. The positive variance eliminates the requirement to withdraw from general balances to meet the residual shortfall that existed within the budget, which was originally approved in February 2025. That's where I leave it there, Chairman. Before I just move the recommendations, the comments, and happy to take any comments and questions, and my fellow portfolio holders will obviously be able to help in their own areas. Aside from that, I will move the recommendations and set out in section 2 of tonight's report. Thank you.
Thank you. I will formally second that. Then any comments or questions any colleagues have? Councillor Mrs Pell.
Mr Chairman, I don't think you'll be surprised because I asked this at the last Cabinet meeting. The two projects under amber status, the Whittam and House of Town Centre. How long is this going to go on? I mean, we keep being promised and it just runs from months and months into years and years. It's not a huge big project. I mean, is somebody not doing their job properly?
Do you want Councillor Ritchie?
Thank you, Leader, and completely sympathise with Councillor Pell's comments. Imagine, if you will, 3 football teams playing on 1 football pitch with 2 sets of goalposts, 5 footballs, and the goalposts constantly moving. That's what it feels like personally to try and get this project over the line. There is some light at the end of the tunnel, so I've had an update today with the leadership team here. We're working very closely with Essex County Council to get the last permit in place. It's a bit tricky because it involves some lighting columns, so obviously there's some compliance issues with electricity and some liaison with local businesses, but once we've got that over the line, then I'm confident of a start date for phase 2 in October. So hopefully some light at the end of the tunnel, Councillor Pell.
Can I come back, Mr Chair?
Certainly, by all means.
Can I just say that you haven't forgot that we put the Christmas lights up very shortly?
4th football team has just entered the field.
Absolutely not. Yeah, we've taken that into account. We have to do the same over in Whittam, so it's all part of the plan. You have my assurance, Councillor Pell.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Heath, and then Councillor Beavers.
Councillor Pell did ask my main question, but the other one I would like to say is again, this is such an informative report, the quarterly report. It's the backbone of the scrutiny committee most of the time as well. So I'm very grateful for that, and I'm also very pleased with page 109, the front page of the report this quarter, Mr Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Heath. Councillor Mrs Beavis.
Thank you, Chairman, and Councillor Heath is absolutely right about the scrutiny, and I really appreciate that he gets into this document as well and reads well, and will often say to me, just give me stuff before the meeting, which I really do appreciate, because, you know, it's a bit like risk, isn't it? Our risk assessment reports. I just find this stuff interesting, and then some stuff on there disappears off there, and then what's the rhyme and reason for it? And I know for a bit of time I badgered Councillor Bowers on the Headingham Medical Centre that was on here for a bit, amber, and it's disappeared altogether now. And I guess the green, and now it's gone, must be that, although I emailed them today, we must slowly be getting there, and our bit is done. But I will just put that out there that I have emailed them today. The other thing I do keep badgering you on, and I don't expect a full answer now, is on page 144, where we've got it rated, RAG rated red for our asset management. And after all we've been through, and this big, you know, piece of work around looking at all our assets, why have we got that rated red? That just, I don't know.
I'll ask Councillor Bowers to respond. Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Chairman.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I think first of all, in regards to the Civil Headingham Medical Centre, I think the reason it's not on this report, and I know we've said this before, is BDC have done their bit kind of thing. I know the residents of Silverhampton want it up and running and that kind of thing, but I think that's the reason why it's come off the actual reporting here. In regards to the asset management, within the report, I get what the point you're making in regard to asset management and the focus we've had and the investment we have. There are some specifics why that is still rated red in the report, and it is referenced in regards to reduced income at the plaza from the makerspace and casual lettings, lower income at Victoria Square due to vacant units, and net other variances mainly related to properties and a reduction in staffing costs recharged to capital. So a couple of things on that is the lower income at Victoria Square due to vacant units. We've passed the lease tonight, so that obviously will help in that situation. In regards to the makerspace was the piece that has been developed into a gym, and what we'd budgeted for the makerspace wouldn't be the same as we would get the income for the gym, but that will be as we move forward and making sure our budgets are aligning to what not making them easy in regards to what income we're getting, but at the end of the day it needs to be budgeting like for like. So that's one of the reasons in regards to that. You do have casual lettings in regards to the plaza, but we do have a high occupancy rate. So we're hoping that will not be red as we go forward during the year. But there are some of the reasons why it is still showing red. But also, that's kind of the flip side to a lot of the work we're doing in asset management, and also as we start looking at potential asset disposals or community transfers and things of the like. There is a lot going on in asset management as we will move forward through the year. But they're the main reasons in regards to red on that first quarter. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Bowers. Councillor Mrs Spray, I think you wanted to.
Yes, thank you, Leader. I know Councillor Bowers touched on the planning application performance, but I think it just bears saying how good this is. Major planning applications 100% decided on time, and this target's been achieved every quarter since 2019. Minor applications just fractionally under 94% met the target on time, and that's the 9th consecutive quarter that's happened. And other planning applications just over 98% decided on time. And this is it's a really good performance by this team, who are under pressure. I mean, I doubt actually if there's a planning team in the country that isn't under pressure right now. But I know that in addition to their normal day-to-day work, we have quite a number of NSIPs, nationally significant infrastructure projects, on our books at the moment, where although the ultimate decision is made by government on those, it requires a huge amount of background work to be done by us as a planning authority on that. And I also know that some members of the team have been lending their support to colleagues in the planning policy team with background work, site visits and so on, to support the work on the local plan review. So they have a lot going on. This is a really good result, and my thanks go to them, all credit to them. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions at all? Anything? No? Anything else you want to add, Councillor Bowers? No? In which case you're happy to note the report and the recommendations. Agreed? Thank you. Takes us to item 12, and I welcome the scrutiny review into antisocial behaviour. I welcome Councillor George Cottrell tonight to our meeting, who's Chairman of the Corporate Policy Development Committee, to introduce the paper. George.
Thank you, Leader. In September 2024, the committee of which I'm Chairman, the Corporate Policy Development Committee, undertook a review into Range District Council's anti-social behaviour policies, the roles, responsibilities and powers of the Council as far as antisocial behaviour is concerned, and how effective our policies are. We had a series of evidence-gathering sessions, looking not only at the role and responsibilities of the Council, but also those outside the Council who might be responsible. What enforcement powers do we have? How do we deploy them? What are our policies? And how effective are they? This is a broad and fascinating topic, replete with acronyms, and emotion. When it does have an impact on our constituents, it can be very serious indeed. The Corporate Policy Development Committee eventually came up with 4 recommendations. Firstly, that we, the Council, make clear what antisocial behaviour actually is. Our idea of antisocial behaviour can be incredibly vague. We all have a notion that certain activities are antisocial and that they're also behaviour, but that isn't necessarily the legal definition. This definition is very important because we can only act on what is legally antisocial behaviour. We need to define it, promote it, and publish it, stressing that there are sanctions on such behaviour and it does not have to be tolerated. Secondly, the Council provide an antisocial behaviour briefing paper to all the parish councils, including our new definition or clearer definition, and how to report and address such behaviour. Thirdly, the Council reviews its ASB policies with particular focus on information and support for the victims. And fourthly, the Council review its ASB service, especially its internal resources, to assess whether any improvements are necessary and possible. In putting this report together, we owe a great deal of thanks to the officers from the Community Services, Environmental Health, Operations and Housing, and from Jessica Mann, Kim Mayo and Emma Wisby. I look forward to your thoughts and response. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Courtauld. I believe Councillor Mary Cunningham is going to respond. Councillor Mary Cunningham.
I'd like to thank Councillor Courtauld and the Corporate Policy Development Committee for their work scrutinising our antisocial behaviour function and the excellent report that has been presented today. Members may be aware that this scrutiny review was conducted alongside our own review, and as a result we used some of the feedback as the review went along to help us shape our service design. As a result, we've seen a significant shift in approach to respond to antisocial behaviour, including the appointment of a dedicated ASB and enforcement manager, a move towards a more victim-centred approach to managing cases, improved communications and signposting. For those of you who haven't had a chance yet, I would thoroughly recommend having a look at the work that we have completed on the website to support people to find the help that they need. There's a huge amount of information on there. Tackling antisocial behaviour requires significant partnership working, and our Community Safety Hub helps us to identify long-term resolution to issues, rather than just dealing with individual instances. Some cases of ASB are complex, and without the relationship we have with a range of partners, we would not be able to identify and put in place the best outcomes, not only for victims, but often the perpetrators. Whilst this is just a summary of some of the work we are doing to improve our service and respond to the ASB review, I will look forward to fully responding at our full council meeting in October. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed. Noted then that we... Sorry, yes, Councillor Cunningham.
Chairman, can I just
Councillor
ask
Tom Cunningham.
Question? No, thank you very much. I mean, excellent report. And I won't say anything now because this will be open for full debate at full council, will it? Presentation and then full debate?
That,
oh, excellent. Oh, I'm sure we'll look forward to saying more then.
That will be it. We normally would invite the chairman of the scrutiny, in this case Councillor Courtauld, to introduce the paper at full council, and there will be an opportunity for all members to debate it. Okay? Right. Anything? So at the moment we're just noting the receipt of that and agreeing that we will do it within, I think, a 2-month timescale, and we will hit the 2-month requirement in this case. Okay, thank you very much indeed. Takes us to item 13, the scrutiny review into the North Essex Parking Partnership, and that is Councillor Heath, who I also welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, in front of you, you have the report from the Scrutiny Committee into the North Essex Parking Partnership. When we did our call of topics last summer into autumn, the net came out way on top because they had just published what seemed to be only in the local papers or on social media rather than anywhere else, the fact that they was going to be charging outside of these offices, Whittam High Street and Halstead High Street, and gave us quite an easy number one topic to do. And going through the agenda, the evidence gathering, it became clear really what was lacking was what we've heard of quite often tonight is the communication between organisations to each other and also out to our residents. I mean, part of what this report does do, I hope you will note when you see it, is break quite a few myth-busting about a very buzzword in scrutiny at the moment, and they are not just revenue raisers. That they are there for a reason. Their schoolwork is fantastic, but just to take you onto this, if I could say that what we would like the council to look at is on page 171 that the council's reps on NEP ensure that they continue to communicate with the wider council to allow better communication with residents and organisation, and that the council reminds NEP to be as open all year as they was with us at the evidence gathering. I mean, the two gentlemen that came and spoke to us, brought their presentation, were fantastic. I think the vast majority of people on the scrutiny committee that day would have employed them. So we thought they were doing a wonderful job, whereas 6 months earlier we wanted to hang them. So I think
we could perhaps just rephrase that a little bit in view of the previous issue of antisocial behaviour. We don't wish to.
You know where I'm coming from. But they gave us such a good, balanced, open presentation that if that had been available 6-8 months earlier, we probably wouldn't have even scrutinised them. So that was good. But in doing this report that I would ask members to endorse and to bring to full council, I would of course like to thank the officers for the superb work they've done, especially Jessica, Emma and Kim. They were superb. And I would also like to extend publicly my thanks to the team from NEP that came and made it such a worthwhile exercise, and to my committee for the challenging questions that they ask. It's always thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Heath. I think Councillor Bowers-Flint.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Heath has a different impression of the team than what perhaps I've experienced with him. The same team promised me the earth last December. We're now nearly at the end of September and I've still not heard anything, and they were going to help resolve some of the problems in Panfield Lane. So good on you that you got something out of them. The question I would like to ask, Leader, is did you invite our representative to any one of your committees?
I think for my sins, well, I don't think, I know, I am the representative on NEP. I'm never quite sure. I think I ended up there because of some conflicts of interest. I think
that was my fault, Leader.
Yes, I think Councillor Cunningham did a very quick shift of the rugby ball, and it seemed to me I just happened to be passing at the time and ended up with it. I have, and if people will have watched some of the meetings from the very first meeting, I have had concerns about the way in which NEP has operated, particularly the way in which it dealt with some on-street issues where money was put into a budget without, first of all, any decisions having been taken locally, etc. And I've also been quite keen to try and get to the bottom of the allocation of costs, because the staff at NEP are employees of our colleagues Colchester City Council and do jobs there. you know, the split of costs and how that was determined, etc. It has improved, there's no doubt about that, but I think it's improved because there are now, I'm not claiming this just for myself, but there are now 2 or 3 members who have been a little bit more inquisitive than perhaps had been there previously from some councils, although I think our council has always done that. There is clearly a lot to be done, and one of the things will be is what happens to NEP and local government reform and how we go about that as well. And this may be something that basically we just need to keep rolling until such time as the new unitaries have an opportunity to decide how they wish to do it. I think we're not the only council which has had concerns. I think Tendring Council at one stage were seriously considering withdrawing. As I say, my own view at the moment is I think we've got quite a lot on our plate without making more additional work there. But I suppose the answer to, well, I don't suppose, the answer to your question, Councillor Bowers-Flint, is I was not invited, but I would have happily have gone along if required.
That is the whole reason I asked that question, because I knew that you had knowledge of what was going on and what's been happening, and that could well have helped that committee. So just for future, if there is a rep on anything that we do, I think they should be attending scrutiny to give their side of the story of whatever they represent. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we're not in disagreement or anything here, but clearly I think the reference to this council's, I think it talks representatives. It's only one. It's me and accompanied by our officer. Letter begins with E. Esme. I beg Esme's pardon, who is excellent in the way in which she gives me support on that. But yes, there were certain concerns. We now have a change in the management at NEP, and I think there is something for me to think about how we get reports of that meeting back to members here. I'm just not sure that we've actually cracked that point yet in getting reports back to members of what's gone on at meetings. I know they're public meetings. I know they are available on YouTube or whatever it is, but it would be quite useful to get that back, to get a formal report back to members, and I will look at how we might be able to do that as well. Sorry. Did I? Sorry, I beg your pardon. Yes, I did. Remember, it followed on, I think, from a question from Councillor Beavis several months ago, and I do now a quarterly update, or we collectively do a quarterly update of our outside commitments, and I have included that in that report there. So there is that there. So that hopefully is an improvement. I mean, clearly, NEP has been going for some time now. It covers quite a large area, and I think some of the points that are in the report here, which I think are quite reasonable things, we will need to take on board, and I'll reflect upon that report and see what I need to do as your representative and what we might need to do more collectively. Councillor Bowers, and then I'll come back to Councillor Heath.
Yeah, just to follow on for that, just to make the point that the minutes for the meeting are available on the council website as well as going to the YouTube as well, so members can keep an eye on it.
Councillor Heath, did you want to come back?
Yeah, just to thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to say to Councillor Bowers-Flint, yeah, because the leader has pointed me in the right direction for most of the things with NEP, because because I do know that he's our rep, and before Councillor Cunningham did as well. But I accept, yeah, we should formalise it more than what it was. Okay.
Let's end on that degree of harmony amongst us. Note the report. Now, is there a suggestion that 168 is the thing, isn't it? What are the recommendations? Is there due to be a report back? Anybody want to help me? Yeah. Cabinet scrutiny report. Yes, okay, formal response within 2 months. So we'll pick that up at October Cabinet as well, and we'll leave it to Councillor Heath in the same way as we will with the previous issue of Councillor Courthold to present the report at full council in October, if that's all right, Councillor Heath. Yeah. And hopefully I'll have a more coherent response at that stage. Okay? Right. Anything else on that one? No? Note the report then. Thank you. I don't have any other matters. There are no matters now to be taken in private session because we dealt with the 2 items that had private session bits to them earlier. That was items 5 and 6. And therefore I will declare the meeting closed at 8:35. Thank you very much indeed.